Today is Friday the 10th of March and this is from the South. On Thursday, World Bank Arbitration Panel overturned a US $1.4 billion ruling against Venezuela for nationalizing one of ExxonMobil's major projects in the country after the election of late President Hugo Chavez in 1999. In 2014, Venezuela was ordered to compensate ExxonMobil for late President Hugo Chavez's decision to nationalize the multi-billion-dollar Cerro Negro project in 2007. Thursday's ruling is the second major victory for Venezuela in their 10-year legal battle against Exxon. Foreign ministers and other officials from 25 Caribbean countries met in Havana to discuss a joint response in the face of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration threats to migrants and trade. Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez criticized President Trump's anti-immigration rhetoric and plans for a wall along the border with Mexico at the opening of the Association of Caribbean States meeting. Chile, Colombia, and Peru voiced strong support to Mexico due to the effects of protectionist measures promoted by President Trump. Finance ministers from the countries of the Pacific Alliance agreed that diversifying economies and boosting free trade is the key to countering new protectionist fronts. Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on Mexican products and abandon the free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada that has been in place since 1994. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos has confirmed that Pope Francis will visit Colombia in September for 4 days. The Pope has been a key supporter of Colombia's peace deal with the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Francis repeatedly expressed support for the deal during the 4 years of negotiations. The first funeral was held earlier today for one of the 36 teenage girls killed in a horrific fire in the government-run shelter of Virgin the Assumption Safe Home in Guatemala. The fire broke out on Tuesday night in the female living section of the walled facility, killing 19 immediately. The other 17 died in hospital of horrific burns. 10 more are still in critical condition. All of the victims were girls aged between 14 and 17. Supporters of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe took to the streets of Washington, D.C. to condemn the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Protesters marched with banners reading Native Lives Matter, Water is Life, and Native Nations Rise. After being halted in the final days of former President Barack Obama's administration, the DAPL was relaunched by an executive order from President Donald Trump in January. Police have reported that 2 people died in Seoul, South Korea during protests surrounding the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye on Friday. Police reported that a 72-year-old supporter of Park reportedly fell off one of the police vehicles surrounding the court and later died in hospital from head wounds. Just 30 minutes later, local police had announced the death of another protester, though no details were offered. South African taxi drivers blocked roads to Johannesburg's airport, holding up thousands of travelers in a protest against Uber. Meanwhile, Uber drivers also protested outside the Uber headquarters in Johannesburg as they accused the company of not doing enough to protect them against meter taxi drivers and other crimes. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Moscow to discuss the mending of ties between the two countries. This was the first meeting between the two leaders in the Russian capital since the downing of the Russian fighter jet in November 2015 in northern Syria.
65 Palestinian women and girls, including 12 minors, are being held by Israel in the Hasharon and Dimon prisons under dire conditions. The Palestinian Prisoners Society (PPS) stated Tuesday. According to PPS, the female detainees are being held in cells very close to those of Israeli criminal prisoners. Furthermore, the cells are terribly cold in winter and extremely hot in summer. Nonetheless, Israel's prison service imposed restrictions on providing the prisoners with the needed clothes, bed sheets, and shoes.
There are more than 60 female prisoners in the Israeli jails, amid flagrant violations by Israel's prison service against humanity. Although the world celebrates International Women's Day on March 8th every year, calling for equity and democracy, the Palestinian women are suffering the woes in the Israeli jails under the Israeli occupation.
On the occasion of International Women's Day, PPS shed light on the case of Lina Jarbouni as the longest-serving Palestinian female inmate in Israel. Lina, 41, has been languishing in Israeli prison since 2002 over charges of aiding armed groups. Due to medical negligence, Lena had suffered an acute gallbladder infection for 1 year before the Israeli authorities allowed her to undergo surgery. PBS added that the majority of Palestinian female detainees endure ill treatment during the interrogation periods. In practice, they are exposed to various forms of torture, including beating, insulting, threatening, body scratching, and sexual abuse. Palestinian rights group Al-Damir stated that the number of Palestinian women and girls detained by the occupation forces has sharply increased since a wave of unrest erupted in the occupied territories and Israel in October 2015. Noor Harazin, teleSUR TV, Palestine.
The International Olympic Committee froze financial support to Kenya on Thursday after the country's troubled Olympic Committee failed to make changes to its constitution. The IOC said it would discuss the matter at its executive board meeting next week to decide on any further action. The IOC wants a series of new regulations addressing issues of good governance within the country's Olympic Committee. More on these and other stories on our website telesurtv.net/English.